I'm Jenny Carlson here with Kyle Fredrickson. We are at Boone Pickens Stadium where Oklahoma State has defeated Missouri State 40-23. We got to see a little bit of J.W. Walsh and then a lot of Daxx Garman. We figured we'd see two quarterbacks against a less than stellar opponent in Missouri State, but got off to a fairly decent start offensively with J.W. Walsh in there. Rennie Childs getting a bunch of carries. Looked pretty decent early.
Yeah, I don't think that J.W. Walsh overwhelmed us with his performance early on. I mean, they had to settle for a field goal early, but he had that offense moving, and then some point on that second or third drive, he runs the ball in the middle and gets a little banged up, and then what do you know? First quarter we saw Daxx, which was pretty surprising. But for everything we saw, I mean, Daxx seemed like he was ready to play. A guy who hasn't played in 5 years since he was a junior at Jones High School comes in and shows off that arm strength, and there's a lot of reason for optimism moving forward with him as a guy who can spread out this offense.
Yeah, we're not exactly sure where J.W. Walsh suffered the injury. He had an 8-yard run up the middle that we think might have been it, but then he looked to get stepped on by Rennie Childs on a touchdown run that Childs has. But either way, he comes hobbling off the field, offered crutches, declines them, but walks to the locker room, then comes back out with a boot on his foot, is in that boot with crutches after the game. So clearly not 100%. Mike Gundy saying afterwards he didn't know if he could have gone back, and he didn't ask that question against Missouri State. Didn't want to take any chances. But you mentioned the way that Daxx Garman played and had a lot of people buzzing. 16 of 26 for 244 and 2 touchdowns. And I think most people were talking about that 87-yarder.
That was impressive. He'd run into one side of the field, throws across his body. That's just a throw that J.W. Walsh is not going to make. And I think when we move forward from this game, it's kind of the conversation becomes, what is the identity of this offense? Is it more of the air raid style with all these wide receivers who are super talented? Or do you put J.W. Walsh out there, a guy who is such a proven leader and a gritty player that all these players respect so much, and see what he can do? It's yet to be seen, but I don't know. You like what Daxx Garman brings to the table, and if you can utilize all your weapons on this offense to their full potential, you got to think Mike Gundy likes that option a lot.
Well, and as you mentioned, it's been 5 years since Daxx Garman's played in a real live football game. He was still at Jones High School. He said he played his last game at Jones Stadium. Said it was slightly different atmosphere than what he saw today, but after 5 years, comes out, starts a little bit rough, but then opens it up on the Brandon Shepard toss. And Mike Gundy saying afterwards that he felt like Daxx Garman had at least earned the right to play some more. He did say, though, that if J.W. Walsh is healthy, he's the guy. Either way, this is setting up to continue to be a conversation. Here we thought maybe this quarterback, I don't know, do we want to say controversy? Do we dare say controversy? Might be over, but it seems like there may at least be two guys that they run out there on a pretty regular basis.
Right, and I don't know exactly how they're going to make it work. Gundy uses the word situationally when he talks about using both of these guys. Does that mean when they need a big pass play, they're just going to insert Garman and have him do it? Well, the defense is probably going to see that coming. So it's hard to say exactly how it's going to work, but we saw a lot of good things out of him. And when we look at this game as a whole, not only Garman, but there was a ton of young guys who played really well and got some needed experience, even if it was against an FCS school. So you like the progress there. You like getting these young guys snaps, and it bodes well for the future for sure.
Well, you mentioned those young guys, and that may be the one thing that we sort of take away from the second half was that a lot of young guys got in. Mike Gundy not exactly pleased with the level of excitement and energy he got out of all of his guys today, giving up 23 points, some defensive letdowns a little bit, but don't you think that they would take the chance to get experience for those guys over maybe giving up a few points and maybe having some things that they didn't like out there?
Yeah, I mean, this game wasn't a blowout, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, I mean, when you're playing that many reserves in the second half, I mean, that's what it becomes. So, yeah, the score maybe is a little closer than what we thought it would have been, but it's still a win, and it's still a good move forward for this team. Just to, like we said before, getting those guys the experience. So when it's later on in the year and there might be injuries or there might be other situations, they'll be a lot more ready than they were yesterday.
All right, let's hear what the Cowboy coaches and players had to say after the game about this 40-23 victory over Missouri State.
We're kicking way too many field goals and not scoring touchdowns. We've got to improve in areas like that. We had too many penalties. I don't know what the stats are, but at a crucial time, a chop block and a hold on the perimeter. And in a defensive personal foul, those things we have to clean up. But we got some young guys, some experience, which is good. Daxx came in and played for JW, obviously, and we'll know more on JW's situation tomorrow. either way at that point, we were going to play Daxx, so we just decided to go ahead and leave him in and move forward.
We were outside the backfield, double moves by wideouts, gap responsibility by some inexperience that we busted. So, ideally this right here is the kind of game where you have a ton to learn by with a team with the guys that haven't played it much, and really got a great challenge ahead of them to get ready for this next week.
What was the biggest difference from being in that live game atmosphere compared to what you've been doing the past couple of years in practice?
Obviously, it's the environment, everything around you. There's noise, and it's a big stage. Everybody's watching, eyes on, and you just have to perform the same as you do every day.
Did JW tell you anything when you went in?
Oh yeah, we're good friends and we support each other no matter the situation. And so he just told me, stay calm and cool and collect and just run the offense.
Did you see the play where he got hurt?
I didn't really see him. I was watching some blocks, but he got rolled up pretty good.
I feel pretty good about the game. I went out there and after a few carries and everything, I started getting comfortable, and it felt like old times. And I just started rolling. And luckily, my O-line, it was a team effort, of course. The O-line, they got on their blocks and move people out of the way so I can make my cuts and run. And I feel like, as a team, we had a pretty good day. It was pretty hard when he went down and everything, but I have confidence in Daxx, and he stepped up and he did his thing out there. He played with confidence, and he did well.
For a mood of the team when y'all saw J-Dub walking off the field?
Somebody has to step up. Somebody has to make plays.
Are you worried at all?
I mean, yeah, but I actually expected J-Dub to come back. It's hard seeing J-Dub walk off the field. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. You would never expect for J-Dub to be hurt or anything like that. He's like Mr. Invincible. So when he walked off, it was just like somebody had to step up. Like, this is a big deal.
I feel like the defense played well coming out and just being able to get all the young guys in there to get some snaps and get their feet wet for the first time. Yeah, this is going to be a great week for them to watch film and see what they did out there, and this was a great platform for them to get on for the first time.